Did you know the average entrepreneur earning 10 to 50K a month wastes 40% of their productive time to self-sabotaging behavior? That's right. Nearly half of your working hours are gone because of patterns you might not even recognize. Think about that for a second. What could you even achieve with 40% more productive time? Now, my own journey hasn't been smooth sailing. I went from sleeping in my car to making 5 figures a month in just 4 months. And it wasn't because I suddenly discovered some magical marketing strategy or secret funnel. It happened because I identified and eliminated my self-sabotage patterns. And the strategy was always there. I just kept getting in my own way. If you don't know who I am, I'm Luke Anning. I'm a former growth partner at a 7-figure company, host of the Top 2% podcast, The Happy Positive Energy Game. And I'm a coaching entrepreneurs for over 4 years now. Now, I've since helped over 200 entrepreneurs break these patterns, like Justin, who was stuck at 25K a month for ages before working with me. Within 30 days, he hit 57K a month and shortly after reached 101K a month. Or Joanna, who went from 50K a month to 50K a week in just 2 weeks whilst delegating 85% of her work. And this transformation still blows my mind. But in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to identify your unique self-sabotaging patterns and break free from them in under 21 days using the same system that's transformed my clients' businesses and lives. This is not about working harder. It's about removing the hidden blocks that keep you stuck in the same patterns. Now, if you're finding value in this already and you've already started seeing patterns that you're noticing, let me know down below and make sure you're liked and subscribed. Okay, let's keep going anyway. Now, these are the 5 most common patterns that I see of self-sabotage within people that are earning anywhere from 5K to 50K a month. The first one is complexity, or you could call it the complexity creation loop, which is, this is a little bit of a sneaky one, but the signs are really easy to spot, where you're creating unnecessary steps and overcomplicating things in your process. Your systems have systems and your systems have systems, and your processes are so complex that you don't actually know where anything is actually happening. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with that have like 8 different marketing funnels. They're doing Instagram, they're doing TikTok, they're doing LinkedIn, they're doing YouTube. They're doing email lists. They've got a fucking Facebook group. They've got a WhatsApp list. They've got all these different things and they keep collecting more like it's the next Pokemon card. But here's the problem. They're not doing any of them effectively. So they've got this like big wide net that they're casting and they're saying like, hey, come over here. But then they're not doing anything with all the people in the net. They're getting like really mediocre results in like 8 different places rather than exceptional results in like 1 to 2 places. Now, let me tell you what complexity is. Complexity at its root cause is just avoidance. And if everything's complex, you basically have a get out of jail free card where you can just say things are complex and that's why it's not working, rather than saying, I don't know how to get to the next level. And like, ask yourself right now, like, where in your business have you actually created a ton of uncertainty and complexity to mask your lack of knowledge? And like, what would happen if you actually just simplified ruthlessly and did the things that you weren't prepared to do, but you know would move the needle forward? Now, pattern number 2 is typically the perfectionist loop. Perfectionist loop. So imagine you're this person and you're on a wheel and you're like a hamster running on a wheel. And really, you're not going anywhere. And this is a real sign that you're trying to get everything right before you launch the next thing. It's like, oh, but I've just got to get all of this stuff ready before I get this ready. Maybe you're consistently consuming content. Maybe you're consistently, like I was, listening to a ton of podcasts before trying to make a move. I had a client that was over here and she'd been listening to hundreds and hundreds of hours of podcasts on YouTube, on and Spotify and Apple on different marketing things so that she could get her marketing plan down for her team. And she was always basically in this research mode, like endlessly researching and never actioning. And the problem here is she's just doing all this research because she's afraid of making the wrong decision, or afraid of being judged for getting something wrong as a leader, or fearing rejection, or wanting to get the perfect post out so that her time isn't wasted, which is fucking ironic because we're wasting all this time researching when we could be actioning. It's protection from your brain disguised as excellence. It's not perfectionism. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. Imperfect action creates perfect action. And imperfect action beats perfect action every single time. So I want you to have a think about right now, what project are you telling yourself needs that little extra thing before you get started, needs this little next thing. Oh, but I got to do this first. Oh, I got to build this course module. Oh, I got to get this person. Oh, I got to do no, actually have a think. What is the real fear behind that perfectionism right now? What is holding you back? Now, the next pattern that you may see if you're at this level is the anxiety cycle. So anxiety cycle. And what this looks like is absolute destruction of your mental bandwidth, but it means being constantly anxious about the next step. It's constant anxiety and worry about where the next lead's coming in, or if you're going to make the right decision, or worrying about a client. It's waking up anxious in the middle of the night about your business. It's walking into rooms and saying, wait, what the hell was I doing again? Because you're so full of anxiety and overwhelm that you don't know what's going on. And never ever feeling a sense of calm and confidence. Like you're always in your head. You've always got a lot of things going on. And here's what really pisses me off. The gurus will tell you, oh, this is just normal as you grow. This is just normal. Like, no, stress is not normal. Like your stress is coming from fear here. It's a sign that something is fundamentally wrong with your approach. Look at it like this. Stress comes from fear. Fear is tied to scarcity, and that impacts your work. That impacts your client relationships, your team interactions, everything. And then guess what? This leads to more stress. And really, this constant anxiety is going to lead you to a physiological state where clear thinking and strategic execution on a game plan, doesn't matter how good that game plan is, literally becomes impossible, because the front part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, goes offline and you operate from the limbic part of your brain. And this is the survival part of your brain. And this is like the oldest part of your brain. So I want you to have a think about now, like, how is your current anxiety levels affecting your decision making? Like, how would your business look if you actually moved with a sense of calm, clear, confident energy and intention? Like, what could be possible? How much more safety would there be in your business, in your body, in your brain? What would you be able to create from there? Now, the next one is what we call strategic distraction. Strategic distraction. And what this looks like is constantly chasing new ideas, new projects, new opportunities, because you feel like there's going to be a breakthrough on the other side that's easier than what you're experiencing right now. Like, let me take Justin as an example. Justin, when he started with me, was like, hey, I'm doing like 25K a month. I want to try this other funnel because other people were making money with it. And I'm like, okay, cool, valid. There's some evidence. But at the same time, what's stopping you from just doubling the marketing systems that got you hit? In this case, it was like, what's stopping us from 2xing your ad spend? And he was like, nothing really. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's do that. 57K a month. Oh, would you look at that? So instead of changing everything, we just found out what worked here and we just doubled down on it and basically doubled his cash flow over the next 30 days. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. And here's what will happen within your brain. Your brain will consistently look for new things. It will consistently look for novelty, because it's fun, it's exciting. But again, it's another sophisticated protection mechanism. It's just another way that you are hiding your self-sabotage. Have a think about what's going on with you right now. Like, what new exciting opportunity are you considering? What feels like the next big thing? What might actually be a distraction from you, from scaling what's already working, that could be in your way? Now, pattern number 5, coming down to it, is the capability myth. The capability myth. And this is like the biggest killer, I would say, of scaling. So I want you to think of like this concept. So we've got a vase, and there's a bottleneck here. And on the flip side, we've got just a river that's flowing, and we've poured water into this one. So this is full of water. Now, these signs that you're in the capability myth and that you're stuck is this belief that you can do everything yourself. I can do everything. I don't need a team. I don't need to delegate. And it's a conviction that nobody else can do it as well as you can. And what this cap is, rather than allowing your business to flow, because you likely hired people to do a really good job and now they're not. Or maybe you know that somebody would flow, but you don't trust that they're going to lead their role and care about your business. You are now the bottleneck to your growth, where there is a certain level of water, cash flow, etc., that you're at, and now you're capped. So Joanna was a really good example of this. My client that went from just below 50K a month to 83K or a 7-figure turnover mark in 30 days. Because at the start, she was micromanaging the team. She was handling every legal case. She was having her hand in sales and marketing rather than actually gifting it to the people that she hired to do these things. And when she actually stepped back and did that, that was when she was able to have the 50K week in 2 weeks. And that's without her having a hand in it. And the cold hard truth lies like this. The need to control everything creates a bottleneck where your capacity becomes the limiting factor in your business growth. You are the cap on your business growth. And this is a question for you, which is, where are you bottlenecking your business right now? What tasks are you holding on to that somebody else could be doing 80% as well as you could be? So you're probably thinking now like, okay, Luke, that's great. You've called me the fuck out. I've identified these patterns, but great. How do I actually break them? And that's a good question. I'm going to walk you through the next 21 days of how you can actually break this down in a similar fashion to how we would take a general client through it. Now, all of my clients are different. Everybody has their own custom roadmap, but I'm going to give you the best one that I can whilst we're on this video. So for the next 21 days, here's what we're going to do. Now, days 1 to 3 is going to be all about your identity and pattern recognition. And then really the first 3 days are all about deep identity work. So understanding who you need to be at a deep level in order to grow. So who you need to be at the top of your mountain, not just what you need to do, but who you need to actually become. And during this phase, what we do is we create something called an anti-procrastination plan. And this is really like a personalized system that allows you to trust yourself to follow through. Because ultimately, it's crucial that you know what you're doing, because most entrepreneurs have already broken trust with themselves. They can't follow through on their calendars. They can't follow through on what they need to do. They might not even have a calendar. They don't trust themselves to follow through tasks. They're pulling themselves out of bed. They're operating in their fucking pajamas. They can't even go to bed and have a routine. Whereas what we do is we cut through the overwhelm of decisions that they need to make in their day-to-day by essentially creating an automated week where you know exactly what you need to be doing into your day-to-day. So week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, you know exactly what you need to do in order to hit your goals. But most importantly, what we also do is we also recognize what are the specific cognitive thought patterns holding you back. Like, what are those sneaky little voices, sneaky little patterns that are saying, who are you to do this? Or you'll probably fail again, or you don't have what it takes, or you can't be disciplined, or you don't have the time, or you need to work hard to be successful. Like, this foundational work is so critical because without it, you're going to keep attacking symptoms rather than root causes. And it's like trying to drain a flooded basement without fixing the broken pipe in the first place. So have a think about this question. If you were to become the version of yourself who's already achieved your biggest goal, how would that person think and act differently than how you do right now? And we're going to start operating from that. Now, days 4 to 7 is we're going to focus on restructuring your environment to actually support your success. Now, your environment is either working for you or it's against you. There is no fucking neutral here. So we're going to methodically clear out all the things in your life that are hijacking your success. That could be the cluttered environment. It could be digital distractions like phone and devices hijacking your focus. Could even be relationships that drain your energy with friends, family, partners, whatever we need to do. And this might even be past partners. Like maybe you're listening to this video and you divorced somebody a long time ago, but you actually haven't filed that divorce yet. That is an energetic attachment that's dragging you the fuck down. And this is also how we install new core belief systems that help you step into your best self. And this isn't going to be fluffy affirmation work like money loves me and I love money. It's actually going to be a systematic belief restructuring process based on evidence and based on your identity from what we worked on from days 1 to 3. And what most people don't realize is that your environment is constantly programming your subconscious. If you change your environment, it's going to change the programming and change the results. But we still do need to work on the identity piece, which is why you can't just change your environment and hope that everything goes to well. And it's why there's a lot of people in Bali that are still lost, but they're just enjoying their time lost compared to being lost in England or lost in their hometown where they don't have as much fun. Anyhow, I digress. This next question for you is, how is your current environment reinforcing your self-sabotaging patterns? What one change could you have or would you have that would have the biggest impact? Now, next thing that we're going to do, days 8 to 14, is neural reprogramming, or what we're calling neural reprogramming in this training. Neural reprogramming. So imagine within your brain that you have all these different networks, right? With all these different networks, all these different original wiring. And I want you to think of your brain as, yes, it's a garden. Yes, it has fruits and it has flowers. And yes, it's healthy to some degrees, but it's also got weeds. We also have these weeds in the garden, right? Clogging up space for the flowers and the growth that you actually want to have. Now, at this point, we're already actively changing the resistance blocks that are in the way. But what we're also going to do is also clear out and set up the foundations for clearing the resistance blocks that are going to get in the way as you grow. And this is really going to be setting up the foundations for your brain when it fights back. We need to be ready for that resistance. And this is where we ultimately infuse things like the neuropsychovisualization, which you can see on my channel. This is where we also do things like neo-emotional release. We've had a few deeper sessions recently with my clients, which are some deep somatic processes which help you release stuck trauma, stuck energy in your body. It's also where we do our CEO embodiment framework, which is really learning how to use healthy anger to set boundaries up for people in your life as well as yourself on the things you should and should not be doing. For example, scarcity around money. Absolutely fucking not. We are not doing that. We're not having it. And if you have that, it's a sign you're not being your best version of yourself. You're not embodying what it takes to be a CEO. Really, we're just installing new programming step by step from your beliefs, your habits, your capabilities, your skill sets, your identity. And we're going to continue creating new neural networks. So what we're going to do is look at deleting, not the actual brain. We're not going to delete the actual brain itself. But we're going to take the brain, we're going to de-weed it, we're going to keep the whole brain, and we're going to install new programs. But we're also going to build evidence as to why these programs are real. So it doesn't just feel like, oh, I'm just speaking these words and they don't actually have any meaning. And I feel like a fucking idiot. They're going to have evidence and you're going to be able to back up your bullshit. And this is where the real transformation happens. We're literally rewiring your natural pathways to support your goals rather than sabotage them. So have a think about what outdated beliefs, thoughts might be running around your business decisions without you even realizing it. And then days 15 to 21 to get you out of these patterns. So days 15 to 21, we're going to do pattern reinforcement. Pattern reinforcement, which really the final week here for you is about reinforcing and cementing all of these changes through the reinforcement. So this is about implementing daily micro wins, celebrating yourself for stepping into a different version of yourself. So anchoring it in as like, I have changed my identity. I am this new person. And small wins will ultimately compound into massive results. You can't just wait until you get to a massive result to celebrate your wins. You have to celebrate the milestones along the way. And we also create a strategic accountability structure that makes you follow through easier than following through by yourself or not following through. And the results can be pretty dramatic. Like the moment we implemented this accountability structure with another one of our clients, Steph was able to set in place her routine within 1 week. And she'd been struggling. Like before she signed up, she was like, oh, I'll come back in a few months when I've figured out my routine. And I'm like, yeah, or we could just onboard and do it in a week. Which is why I said to you guys, like, this is a generalized roadmap. But the first thing, the most important thing for Steph was we set her in place, and that's what we did within the first week. Now, this is where we're really actually going to cement new patterns to actually grow you through the process. And they become your new normal. You operate from a newer version of yourself. You literally do not recognize your person who you were before, and you don't have to force or white knuckle your way through things. And I want you to think about it, like, how would your business transform if you could consistently follow through on your highest leverage activities for just 21 days straight because you changed who you were as an identity? Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, oh yeah, Luke, I already know about this, new beliefs, new mindset stuff. I've done programs in the past, and like, I get you. But Tony Robbins also has this 3 levels of knowing that I want to teach you about. Level 1 is cognitive knowing. So level 1 is cognitive knowing. And this is like knowing what to do, but just researching more and more information to try and get the right thing. It's like having a Kindle full of like unread business books, or your computer has folders of courses you've collected and bought but never completed. It's your podcast feed is packed through like episodes promising secrets to success. And most of my clients have read 20 plus business books. They've listened to hundreds of podcasts. They've bought multiple courses, yet they're still stuck at the same revenue they've been stuck at a year ago. And here's the hard truth. Knowledge alone doesn't create change. It just creates the illusion of progress. It feels like you're doing something because you're learning, but nothing in your business actually changes. So this is knowing about something, but not actually implementing it. So have a think, like, how many books, courses, programs, like, have you consumed in the last year, and how many have you actually fully implemented? Like, what does that gap tell you? Now, level 2 is emotional knowing. So emotional knowing. And this is where you understand the principles. You understand the reasons behind why you should do what you should do. At this level, not only you not only know what to do, but you understand why it works. You can explain the psychology. You can explain the strategy. You can explain the mechanics. I'm sure you could teach certain masterclasses on certain topics, but you haven't fully implemented those things yourself either. And this is possibly one of the most frustrating levels, because you're in that space where you're like, oh, I know I should be doing this, but knowing why something works doesn't automatically translate into doing it. Like, information without application is just entertainment. And this is another question for you, which is, what do you understand intellectually about your business that you're still not implementing? Why do you think that gap exists? Now, level 3 is knowing how. So level 3 is knowing how, which is actual physical knowing, what Tony calls physical knowing. And this is the actual embodiment of doing the thing. This is where you don't know just what to do and why, but you're actually implementing the how. And this is why Justin doubled his revenue and a bit more within his first 30 days. Because most of my clients come to me, they're already at level 1. They're already at level 2. We get them to level 3 and then they explode. I believe every entrepreneur knows what to do. They're just not doing it. And this is where the level of transformation actually happens, because it's not just knowing, but it's actually doing. It's where information becomes embodiment and it becomes wisdom through consistent action. And have a think about you. What would change in your business if you move past just one key strategy from knowing to doing consistently, and consistently did this for the next 30 days? Now, the real question is, why do most people not reach level 3? And there's 2 main reasons. First is the comfort illusion. Level 1 knowledge feels like progress, but it isn't. So learning gives you a dopamine hit, spikes your brain, that tells you I'm being productive without the discomfort of actual growth. Second is the implementation gap. So the leap from level 2 to level 3 is where most people fail, because it actually requires facing your fears and insecurities head on. And I'll be really vulnerable here with you guys. I, for a long time, thought if I just read one more book, or if I just do one more mini course, I'll finally break through and I'll get past the procrastination that's going on, and I'll finally break through my self-sabotage. But the breakthrough came when I stopped learning and started fucking doing things about it and implemented it with actual accountability. Have a think about you. Like, where might you actually be if you stopped just pursuing knowledge and you started leaning into the discomfort of the things that you know you should and could and would be doing to grow your business? I had another client as well on top of this, Farah. This is her page here. And when Farah came to work with me, she is a neuroscientist. She literally does the same brain stuff that I do, but at a higher level in terms of like neuroscience space. And she actually consulted for corporate companies on their neuromarketing strategies. And she spent like a good month debating whether she would invest in me or not. And she'd invested in previous people and been told, yeah, this is going to work out and you're going to go viral. And she didn't. And that's hard. And after joining, she went from 2K a month to 5K a month in her first 30 days. And then from 5K a month to 7.7K in that next month. And then from 7.7K to 13K in just 4 months. Like, that's nearly a 2.5x nearly every single month. And oftentimes the people who are the smartest, the smart entrepreneurs, often resist investing into themselves because they're too smart for their own good. And ask yourself, like with you, like what's the cost of you staying where you are at for another year? Are you seriously prepared to settle for that? Are you seriously prepared to allow that to happen? And this is where we have ultimately the accountability advantage. So imagine we've got like this rocket, looks like a submarine, but it's a rocket. And this is also what takes people from a level 1 and a level 2 with all of their patterns, all of their issues into level 3. Because it's one thing to have a plan. It's another thing to actually fucking implement. It's the same with Justin. Justin already knew what strategies to do, but with our accountability system, he actually followed through. And accountability isn't just about somebody forcing you to do things. It's about aligning your actions with your highest intentions. And accountability isn't just like, oh, I'm going to be a drill sergeant and like force you into doing things. It's holding you to the standard that you want to be held to, but also creating softness and safety and compassion and empathy for when you need that space as well, for where you need someone to lean on and say like, I need to pick me up right now, bro. I'm going through it. Like courses don't give you that. You're by yourself. You're in Wonderland, which is no wonder so many people don't go through courses and fail. And if you're ready to break through those patterns and stop getting in your own way, I've actually created a community specifically for entrepreneurs like you who are ready to reach that potential. All you've got to do is join my Get Out of Your Own Way community, where I share exclusive trainings, provide accountability, and help you implement everything we discussed today. All you got to do is head to the link in my description. For those who are serious, though, about rapid transformation, I actually have limited spots available for my NeuroProductivity application, where we'll actually identify your specific self-sabotage and create a customized anti-procrastination plan for you. Now, with that said, thank you for watching. And remember, the gap between where you are now and where you want to be isn't about strategy. It's about self-sabotage. So break the pattern and watch how quickly everything changes. See you later.